Employers of Reddit, what is the most unique/outrageous thing someone has put on a resume? Knows how to swim. Too bad this is one of them. Land McDonald's. Many times in previous jobs I realized I could steal money very easily without being caught. I never stole money. These jobs require a lot of trust in us. Skills. Driving. Walking. That was literally it. When I worked for GameStop back in the day, I had a guy yell at me because we did all applications through our website. That's discrimination. What about people who don't know how to use a computer? Sir, this is a video game store you're applying at. You have to know how to use a computer in order to work here. Storms out. I wish I could remember what it actually said, but it was the worst written resume I have ever seen. No jobs held down very long. Spelling and grammar errors everywhere. No formatting. Okay, so he was recommended by a friend of mine, and so I decided to give him a chance anyhow. We needed cheaper labor and the job wasn't hard. Worked out to be one of the best workers I have ever hired. Did a good job and paid attention to detail. He only had one name listed as a reference, with a note that said now deceased. How am I supposed to check his work history? With a Ouija board? Registered sex offender, allow me to explain. I forget the exact details, but it was something to the effect of being caught having sex in a parked car with his high school sweetheart. Not on a resume, but I sat in for interviews for my college's ARA program. One kid came in with his Boy Scout scrapbook, and went through it page by page. Page by fucking page. The lead interviewer stopped him in the middle and he interrupted her to say he was almost finished. To this day I wonder if he trolled us, or was just 100% oblivious to social cues that we just wanted him to stop for the love of God. I work in the performing arts, which is a field where you see a lot of odd skills on resumes because we do weird shit sometimes. I've seen a whole lot of special skills that include things like Gollum impression, can play basketball in heels, expert whistler, the list goes on. Back in undergrad, an actor friend and I were comparing resumes. I'm an admin/director, so he wanted an opinion from the other side of the table. The final thing on his resume was just, chicken noise. So I told him, with the infinite wisdom of someone in senior year of undergrad, that he should consider removing chicken noise because it didn't seem that useful in most contexts. Flash forward to later that year, my friend is making a few bucks on the side with Rosetta Stone recording their English language programs. I get a text message, "Fuck you, chicken noise stays forever." It turns out that the recording he was working on that day was one of those basic learn how to order food at a restaurant lessons, and the restaurant in question was a Peruvian chicken place. In his script, he had a line that read, "Cluck cluck." My friend is a professional, so before he does it he asks the recording engineer, "Hey, can I take a pass at this with an actual chicken noise?" And the engineer's like, "Sure dude, whatever," so my friend does. When he gets out of the booth, the engineer is still laughing, "Dude, that was the best chicken noise I've ever heard. We're definitely using that one." Last I heard, that engineer was still willing to vouch for that chicken noise to anyone who asked. Wasn't the employer but an old manager told us that one of the other employees listed his paper route in his job history, entry-level retail, so it was applicable. The unique part? Starting position, paper boy, final position, paper man. I used to manage an AT&T store. One time a high school-aged kid came in and handed me a resume that was handwritten on notebook paper. He had it folded in his back pocket and didn't even tear off the pieces on the edge where he ripped the sheet out of the notebook. When I opened it up to read it, it was just a paragraph about how many friends he had at school and how they all said he needed that job. So I guess it wasn't a particular thing on the resume, so much as the resume itself. In an art candidate's portfolio, my art. Please tell me you called them in for an interview. Well, I did the phone screen. I honestly wasn't 100% sure it was my work. It looked a lot like my work, but I thought maybe I was just being crazy. We artists have a tendency to think we're more original than we really are, so I didn't want to be that guy. From our phone interview, it came out that he had done a port, converting an Xbox 360 game to the Wii. He was presenting the ported assets as original assets, not expecting to be interviewed by the guy that had made the original assets. It's actually pretty common to see portfolios where some guy that worked on one part of one frame of the Avengers puts practically the whole movie on his demo reel and you have to pry the truth out of them. God, those phone screens get so awkward so fast. I'm tough. Real tough. This was for an industrial design position. My friend decided to attach a picture of her cleavage to all her resumes and LinkedIn profile. Just cleavage, no face. Surprisingly to her, she did not get any job offers. At least none that she wouldn't be embarrassed to tell me about. Why do you feel like you are best suited for this job? Yes. Not giving examples as per AutoMod's advice, but when hiring in the 16 to 21 age band, you'll be shocked at how many people are still using the email addresses they obviously thought up when they were 12. I'm talking about XXX no scope 360 XXX levels of creativity here. Had a guy put that he was best man in 5 weddings and a year-by-year summary of his stock portfolio. He was applying to be an entry-level lawyer. I was applying for a job that required you to submit a resume electronically, and for some reason, it let you view previous applicants' resumes. So, of course, I just had to look. Best one said this under the "Have you ever been imprisoned or convicted of a crime?" I accidentally shot my friend with a shotgun and killed him because he broke down my door. Apply various typographical and grammar errors as you wish. It was me who did it. I named my laptop Donkey Boner, so when I sent my resume out to potential employers, if you looked at the file details, it was sent from Donkey Boner. I didn't notice it for several months. I had a girl put in, as her only past work experience, stripper/nanny. Not only does that raise many questions, but she also submitted a detailed story describing how she got drunk, took off all her clothes, and peed in the flower beds at a local sports venue. Since my company does not specialize in flower peeing or stripper nannies, we elected not to hire her. Not a resume, but somewhat similar. One of my coworkers once filled out the reason for requesting a date off as taking my girlfriend to Pound Town. It was their anniversary. He was approved. My uncle was the employer, but I'll say it anyways. Essentially, the guy had an entire section devoted to gaming achievements. Where a normal person might have volunteer experience or something of that nature, he had gaming achievements. Everything from World of Warcraft Guild to Tetris high scores. My uncle photocopied and saved the resume and showed it to me. I wouldn't have believed him otherwise. Not outrageous to us, but I can imagine other companies not seeing the humor in this typo we spotted on someone's resume. Under education, he listed pubic relations. Went to check with the dude, it had to be public relations, and he was so embarrassed. But we had a great laugh. Didn't end up hiring him, but he's in our pool of contact in case we're looking for someone extra. Not allergic to poison ivy. This was for labor job clearing brush. I employed the shit out of him. I work at an escape game place, and one guy stated that he was qualified to work here because he once got locked in a sonic freezer and had to escape before freezing to death. We called him into an interview just to hear the entire story. In an interview in front of a panel of 5 for a courthouse job in my early 20s. Panel: what's your definition of integrity? Me: I don't know what that word means, but I'll look it up the moment I leave here. Hired. And fired 29 days later for spinning in my chair. I was reading cover letters for a summer internship, and one of the applicants wrote something like, "I have great attention to detail. For example, when I'm watching TV with my friends, I always point out where something doesn't make sense." The business manager and I both thought that was funny as hell and hired him. I interviewed a guy who had watching the news under a hobbies section. I thought maybe he meant watching the news and putting an analysis up on his blog or something, anything other than just, well, being a normal person. I asked him about it. Nope, he meant he watches the news sometimes. Not even regularly, and only one channel. Why bother having a hobbies section on your resume if you have no hobbies? Former career advisor here. I saw some pretty wild things, but the two that stand out to me. A guy had an additional achievements section, and the very first thing on there was, completed more than 3,000 hours on Star Ocean on PlayStation. Aside from the fact that you shouldn't list video game achievements on a resume, I remember being especially astonished because that was almost 150% of the amount of hours an employee works in a single year, 2,080 hours. A guy came in with a very accomplished resume. Several years at a director level at 2 big agencies, he'd taught college classes, had BS and MA in his field, and lots of philanthropy work. I asked why he needed help finding an entry-level job, as normally people this accomplished didn't come to see me. His response, "Oh, no, I haven't actually done any of these things, this is what I want to accomplish. This is my future resume."